Welcome to the show. It's a new week. It's a new show. It is really not a lot of good news for the current administration. Over the weekend, I was starting to read up on and prepare for today's stories and other stories that we're going to be covering this week. And in putting it together, it seems as though January 2019, this first month of the year, which is almost over, might maybe be the worst month of Donald Trump's presidency so far. And we're going to get to most of these stories individually in detail. But to kind of sum up the big picture for you, the shutdown has indeed ended temporarily, sort of, with Donald Trump achieving nothing other than hurting his poll numbers and bolstering Nancy Pelosi's approval rating. Trump relented and allowed the government to reopen for 3 weeks with no funding for his wall. He's not even going to give his State of the Union speech in the House chamber tomorrow. As Nancy Pelosi said, he's not going to. It's still not happening. They're going to have to find some other date on which he'll be able to give that speech. So as a last-ditch effort to be allowed to give his big boy speech in front of the Congress, members of Congress and the Senate, that's not happening. We had close Trump confidant and advisor Roger Stone finally arrested. We've been waiting for this for a while, finally arrested as a result of the Trump-Russia investigation in this pre-dawn raid on Friday morning. Multiple counts against him. He's back out on bail, obviously. He's a wealthy elite. He doesn't have to sit in jail until his trial, actually getting out without even having to pay bail, just on the promise that he is going to show back up when asked. But big trouble coming for him. It's yet more criminality around Trump. Huge story by itself, which we're going to get to later in the show. We also saw in January, Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump's attorney, one of his attorneys, switch from claiming there was no collusion to claiming he never said that there was no collusion. Another disaster for Donald Trump. And then finally, after months of back and forth about the Trump Tower Moscow deal and plans, we actually got the full plans, confirming that all along Donald Trump was lying when he said it was never anything. There was no plan. It was nothing big. That fell apart, including knowledge that he planned to gift a $50 million penthouse in that building to Vladimir Putin in order to sort of grease the wheels for getting that project moving. And this has all been bad news for Trump. Trump's disapproval now tying the record high of 57% disapproval, and could go even higher in the next couple of weeks, depending on what happens. And then publicly, Trump is losing big on his whole immigration is a crisis storyline. Only 7% of registered voters, as I told you last week, believe that a government shutdown is worth it if it's the only tool that will serve to get money for the border wall, which, of course, Donald Trump ultimately reopened government without getting a single solitary penny for. And then we had the Michael Cohen news. Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's convicted personal attorney, initially changed his mind about testifying before the House because of threats that he received from Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani. Seemed like that would be good for Trump, that Cohen wasn't going to testify, except that now, and again, we will cover this in detail later on today, a Senate committee has subpoenaed Michael Cohen, and it appears that he's going to indeed be forced to testify before reporting to prison in March, which is also not good for Donald Trump. And then lastly, economically, there are a number of new question marks, which we will talk about not today, but probably tomorrow or Wednesday. The Trump tax cut has completely failed. A new report shows no increase whatsoever in business capital investment nor in hiring plans by corporations, both of which we were told are just going to go through the roof as soon as this delightful tax cut is put in place for the rich and for corporations. And in fact, we're dealing with the opposite. The Treasury is set to borrow $1 trillion for a second year in a row to finance this massively exploded deficit that we have seen under Donald Trump. So I guess, Pat, if I have to find any upside, because if there's upside, I'll tell you what it is. It's that stocks are up 5.5% so far in January, except it looks like today they're going to give back a couple percentage points. But I guess that's one indicator that's good for some people if you own stocks.
Well, I think the highlight of the month for Trump was when he fed the Clemson football team a bunch of fast food, because at least that to some people made him look relatable. But I think if that's your highlight for the month, you're in a bad spot.
Yes, if having to go to fast food restaurants to cater White House events because of your temper tantrum government shutdown is one of the highlights of the month, you're probably not doing that well. But they seem to like the hamburgers, as Donald Trump likes to call them. Can't get through that with a straight face. So not a good month for Donald Trump. And let's start digging into the piece by piece of it now. Today's program is sponsored in part by Movement. Valentine's Day is coming up. Movement knows exactly what to get for that special someone. Get the curated Valentine's Day gift boxes, complete with perfectly matched watches and bracelets, or a watch and strap. Movement introduced jewelry to their collections not long ago. This one is a no-brainer, one and done. I hate shopping for gifts for people. I also hate giving cliche gifts like chocolate or flowers. Give a gift that someone actually wants. Give something like a watch that makes an effortless statement, maintaining that clean, minimal design and high quality that we've come to know and love from Movement. The prices start at just $95. Interchangeable straps for tons of occasions. I have a Movement watch with all sorts of different straps that I swap out depending on what I'm doing. Get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmt.com/Pakman. See why Movement keeps growing. Check out their expanding collection at mvmt.com/PAKMAN. Join the movement.